Shalom, shalom. I'd like to begin the lesson off by saying, all honor, praises, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakar Kadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and teachers at Great Millstone for teaching me this 100% truth about our Lord and Savior, Yahweh Shai Mashiach, and the true reason why he's coming back, which is to save the elect remnant of the house of Israel from their enemies and those that hate them, and to take over the earth and universe, which is given to him by the mighty, mighty Yahweh himself, the Ancient of Days, wherein our Lord and Savior, Yahweh Shai Mashiach, will establish righteousness throughout the whole earth and universe forever under the kingdom of the heaven of the Israelites. Shalom, Akibin Akwaf. We one day closer to the kingdom. It's your brother Hadab, your Abad, back with another quick lesson, man, on the misadventures of the house of Esau Edom and their continued downfall. We start off by going to Proverbs 16:1 before we go through a couple of articles. Contrast the upright and the wicked, the preparations of the heart in man, and the answer of the tongue is from Yahweh. Right? All the ways of a man are clean in his own eyes, but Yahweh weigheth the spirits. So now we got DJ puffing up at his enemies again. Him and NATO, they don't know what they're going to do. The Western hegemony is losing its power, y'all, worldwide. The global South, which is aligned with the BRICS, continues to make strides every day. So, you got DJ flip-flopping as he usually does. Hold on, let me get this right quick. Let's see. I think it's in Timothy. Hold on. Thessalonians, there you go. First Thessalonians 5, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So remember that DJ got in office. It's just July. He came in January, said, I'll end the Ukraine war in 24 hours. 7 months later, he's sending more weapons to Ukraine. Now this time, they're going to send them through and say NATO going to pay for it. Even though at first, the American was giving them loans. The European Union is in shambles. Their house is divided. Right? They just had a vote of no confidence against Ursula von der Leyen. So let me get to this article. But first, let's go back over this. The preparation of the heart in man and the answer of the tongue is from Yahweh. All the ways of a man are clean in his own eyes, but Yahweh weigheth the spirits. Now you got DJ going around putting sanctions on everybody. And what do these sanctions do? They just lead the other nations to go who? Join the BRICS. Let's jump down to 4. Yahweh hath made all things for himself, yeah, even the wicked for the day of evil. Everyone that is proud, and ain't nobody no prouder than them Edomites, especially the house of Amalek. Everyone that is proud in heart is an abomination to Yahweh. Though hand join in hand, he shall not be unpunished. Right? Let's drop down and get 18. Pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Now let's check this out. Look how he be looking. This dude full of pride. Trump announces weapons for Ukraine, warns Russia. What you warning Russia for? Knowing you don't want no smoke with Russia. U.S. President Donald Trump meets with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, not pictured. Now you got to remember this guy, Mark Rutte. He's from the Netherlands. Whatever country he was in, appointed to be prime minister, well, he had a position of power in another country, man. Let's see something. Mark Root. M-A-R Root. What the fuck? Stands for. Oh, he was a Dutch politician. Right? Let's just get a little background on this guy. Now, he was a politician from the Dutch, was the Netherlands, right? The Hague. Let's see. Yeah, he was a member of the House of Representatives of the Netherlands, right? For only 1 year. Now he's the Secretary General of NATO, right? The Netherlands didn't want him. They ran him up out of there. And look where he turned up being. The Secretary General of NATO. Yeah, he was the Prime Minister. I knew he was a Prime Minister. Hold on. Mark Rutte is a Dutch politician who has served as the 14th Secretary General of NATO since October 2024. He previously served as Prime Minister of the Netherlands from 2010 to 2024, the leader of the People's Party for Freedom and Democracy from 2006 to 2023. He ain't did nothing. People over there in the Netherlands don't even like this guy, right? Let's get back to the article. U.S. President Donald Trump meets with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte on the day President Trump announces a deal to get U.S. weapons to NATO in the Oval Office at the White House in Washington, D.C. U.S. July 14, 2025, right? The summary. He's a tough guy, Trump says of Putin, citing bombing rage. Trump says NATO allies will pay for U.S. weapons to Ukraine. Now, the NATO allies, they done already said they're going to increase their military budget, but where is this money coming from? Right? These countries are damn near on the verge of bankruptcy. Germany, France, they in France in turmoil. It's come to find out that boy, they Prime Minister Macron, he married to her. You look that up. Candace Owens exposed that, and she won the case. So Piers Morgan owed like $136,000. Great Britain, they military weak. They having problems, immigration problems, right? Trump says NATO allies will pay for U.S. weapons to Ukraine. Trump says Russia has 50 days to make a peace deal with Ukraine, or else what? And another thing, who made these people, who made America the world's police when they don't even police their own self? It's corruption everywhere. President Donald Trump on Monday announced a toughened stance against Russia for its war in Ukraine, promising a fresh wave of missiles and other weaponry for Ukraine and giving Moscow 50 days to reach a ceasefire or face sanctions. Boy, he king of sanctions, boy. All these sanctions that they putting on these other countries only lead to other countries that what? Want to join the BRICS. And what else? Get rid of the dollar. The petrodollar is done. Inflation rising. You got infrastructure in America that you ain't been taking care of. Right? Now check out what this dude say about Putin. In the Oval Office, at an announcement with NATO Security General with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, Trump told reporters he had become deeply frustrated with Russian President Vladimir Putin. He said Putin is pleasant to speak with on the phone, but then turns around and unleashes withering bombing raids on Ukraine. Do you hear the hypocrisy of these folks? I don't want to say he's an assassin, but he's a tough guy. So if he an assassin, what the fuck is Netanyahu? Huh? Trump said, noting that several of his predecessors had also become disillusioned with Putin. Man, The decision by Trump to send arms to Ukraine represented a turning point for the Republican president who has spent the early months of his term trying to coax Putin into a ceasefire agreement, only to be turned down every time. First and foremost, they need to bring out the true history as to why the Russians came to the aid of the people in the Donetsk region. And the truth about Zelensky. Under the deal, Trump said the U.S. will supply weapons that will be paid for by NATO countries. We won't see that happen. Root said massive numbers of weapons will be sent, including missiles, as part of a first wave of equipment. It ain't gonna get nobody. They got conscription going on over there. Them boys is losing bad, right? In the Ukraine. All the little fronts that America had, these little proxy wars. The proxy war with them Israelis trying to take over the Middle East, which is Western Asia. That shit is failing. The Ukraine war is failing. And now they finna try to open up a front with the Chinese. That's gonna fail. Trump said the top of the line equipment. What y'all been sitting in before? That shit ain't been working. Including Patriot missile systems and batteries will be arriving soon. Not soon enough. We're going to have some very soon. I like it. We're going to have some come very soon within days. Yeah. A couple of the countries that have Patriots are going to swap over and will replace the Patriots with the ones they have, he said. And is this going to help? Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky has made regular appeals to the U.S. and its NATO allies for weapons to help defend itself in the grinding war. Trump coupled his arms announcement with the vow to impose tariffs and sanctions on Russia if Moscow would not make a ceasefire agreement within 50 days. Congressional leaders have been working on a Russia sanctions package. That Russia sanctions package ain't worked the first time. Y'all put sanctions on them in 2022. And they ain't do nothing with it. The economy got bigger. Everything y'all doing, man, backfiring on y'all dumb ass. A White House official said Trump's intent is to impose 100% tariffs on Russia and secondary sanctions on other countries that buy oil from Russia if a deal isn't struck in 50 days. Yeah, that's not going to work. If I was Vladimir Putin today and you're speaking about what you're planning to do in 50 days, I would reconsider whether I should not take negotiations about Ukraine more seriously, Root said. Man, it's not going to work. Trump has been reluctant to punish Russia. Y'all already put sanctions on him. But he came away from a recent phone call with Putin disappointed that the Russian leader appeared prepared to continue the war. Root said Germany, Finland, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, and the Netherlands and Canada all want to be a part of rearming Ukraine. So you can just count these, like I've been saying. You got the Western hegemony and you got the BRICS nations. They finna go at it. That's what World War III finna be about. So you got Germany, they in financial problems. Finland, they irrelevant. Denmark, they sold for their medicated cotton. They're irrelevant. Sweden, irrelevant. Norway, irrelevant. The Netherlands and Canada been super weak. So all these countries that's backing the U.S. and NATO, right? You got Germany, Finland, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, all these countries weak. When is the last time any one of them countries did some fighting other than when they took over, when they colonized somebody? They all want to be a part of this. And this is only the first wave. We'll see how that work out for you. Let's get some more articles. I doubt that this is going to be successful. Look at that. U.S. inflation rose in June as Trump's tariffs start to show in prices. Let's go back. The preparation of the heart of man and the answer of the tongue is from Yahweh. This boy thought he was finna be getting over. He coming in office punishing people. This is what the problem is. Hold up, let's get this. ICE declares millions of undocumented immigrants ineligible for bond hearings. So you got the citizens worldwide. They disgusted with what's been going on in the Gaza Strip, the Ukraine, and over here in America with this ICE situation. Right? Let me get this in the NLT. Right? Everybody getting upset. It's sedition among men. Second Esdras 15th chapter. Check that out. 16th chapter 2. Right? The citizens want regime changes, want political changes within their government, but the government being ruled by the elite. So it's all been a facade. You voting don't determine nothing. And that's worldwide. Now, people was protesting. I ain't seen no article about what's been going on over there in Israel. Because them boys, they done took some heavy losses too. Jeremiah 30:2, man. This is what Yahweh, the Most High Power of Israel, says. Write down for the record everything I've said to you, Jeremiah. For the time is coming when I will restore the fortunes of my people of Israel and Judah. Israel and Judah. That's the whole thing of the book. The Israelites, Northern Kingdom, Southern Kingdom. You got a group of fraudulent people over there now. They only claiming one tribe, right? I will bring them home to this land that I gave to their ancestors, and they will possess it again. I, Yahweh, have spoken. So the Lord already made the decree. And we know now, the people that's over there, they paid for their position. They paid for that through the Balfour Declaration, which is not scriptural. This is the message Yahweh gave concerning Israel and Judah, Northern and Southern Kingdom. This is what Yahweh says. I hear cries of fear. There's terror and no peace. Now let me ask you a question. Do men give birth to babies? Then why do they stand there, ashen face, hands pressed against their sides like a woman in labor? In all history, there has never been such a time of terror. It will be a time of trouble for my people Israel. Yet in the end, they will be saved. Right? We in Jacob's trouble. And once again, the Southern Kingdom acting like ain't nothing going down. But the Northern Kingdom, they catching hell right now. Right? Southern Kingdom starting to catch a little bit. Haiti. But not the so-called Judah, not the so-called African American. They still living in Murphy folly. Right? But the Northern Kingdom and them Haitians, they going through it. The tribe of Levi, right? ICE declares millions of undocumented immigrants ineligible for bond hearings. So they lock you up, buddy, you done. And we know what's been going on when they start transporting people. Just checking to that. A memo from the agency's acting director instructs officers to hold immigrants who entered the country illegally for a duration of their removal proceedings, which can take months or years. Now, ask yourself this. You trying to tell me it was only people that came from Central America and South America? What about the people that was coming over from the Canadian border? Or the military age men that was coming from Africa, China, Ukraine, Russia, right? The Trump administration has declared that immigrants who arrived in the United States illegally are no longer eligible for a bond hearing as they fight deportation proceedings in court, according to documents reviewed by the Washington Post. In the July 8th memo, Ty M. Lyons, acting director of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, told officers that such immigrants should be detained for the duration of their removal proceedings. Now, where they housing all these people at? Alligator Alcatraz. They already saying that the stuff ain't even working in there. They just built it, and it's already fucking run down, right? Which can take months or years. Lawyers say the policy will apply to millions of immigrants who crossed the U.S.-Mexico border over the past few decades. That's going back 20 years. Including under the Biden administration. Yeah. In the past, immigrants residing in the U.S. interior generally have been allowed to request a bond hearing before an immigration judge. But Lyons wrote that the Trump administration's Departments of Homeland Security and Justice had revisited its legal position on detention and release authorities and determined that such immigrants may not be released from ICE custody. In rare exceptions, immigrants may be released on parole, but the decision will be up to an immigration officer, not a judge, he wrote. Now, what are you going to come with up all the manpower to house all these millions of people, as they claim? The provision is based on a section of immigration law that says unauthorized immigrants shall be detained after their arrest, but that that has historically applied to those who recently crossed the border and not long-time residents. So they going back decades, right? 20 years. Come on. Lyons, who oversees the nation's 200 immigration detention facilities, they got 200 immigration detention facilities, right? And knew they are private too. Wrote that the policy is expected to face legal challenges. ICE did not respond to the request for comment. Customs and Border Protection Commissioner Rodney Scott issued similar guidance last week. That agency also did not respond to questions. Yeah, that's all you need to read from that. Just know it's finna get ugly. It's real ugly for us. That's how you know we the Israelites. 2 killed when car swept away in flash flooding in New Jersey. You never know when you gotta go. I just read hold on. Let me go back to this. 1 Thessalonians. Let me take this out. We just read. Hold on. Just had it. Yeah, my fault. 1 Thessalonians 5:2. For you yourselves know perfectly that the day of that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. You never know when you gotta go. Look at this. 2 killed when car swept away in flash flooding in New Jersey. Dozens rescued. Now you got more than 50 million Americans across the East Coast were hit with torrential downpours and flash floods overnight, with New Jersey now under a state emergency. Now, where that sound familiar from? They just had one in Texas and in North Carolina, and now you got one in New Jersey. Torrential flooding. Now they trying to say is what? Them heart machines. Shalaki. What is it? They're down there with those cussing bid to avoid tax bill tumult. Look at this. HHS finalizes mass layoffs after Supreme Court lifted its pause. It's all July 15th. Pentagon to send home half of the 4,000 National Guard troops in LA because that distraction is over. They serve their purpose, right? Look at this. This guy here. He's 114, right? I got this article because I wanted to show that since 1911, the British ruled Punjab, right? That's an area over by India, right? India, 1911. This dude was 114 years old. The world's, what did it say he is? Marathon runner. Guess what happened? The Lord took his ass out at 114. He was trying to cross the street in his hometown, and bang, that's your ass. Let's continue. Look at this. The Kremlin, they made their response. Kremlin says weapons and ammunition deliveries to Ukraine from U.S. are continuing. Yeah, they just made that announcement. Servicemen, but them Russians steady winning. Servicemen from the Mobile Air Defense Unit of the 115th Separate Mechanized Brigade of the Ukrainian Armed Forces fire a Zu-23 2 anti-aircraft cannon towards a Russian drone during an overnight shift amid Russia's attack on Ukraine in Kharkiv region, Ukraine, June 2nd, 2025. The Kremlin said on Monday that the big picture of U.S. President Donald Trump remarks about supplying Patriot air defense missiles to Ukraine was that U.S. arms and ammunition deliveries to Kiev have continued and are still continuing. Trump did not say how many Patriots he plans to send to Ukraine, but he said that he said the United States will be reimbursed for their costs by the European Union. Where are they getting the money from? Again, we just read the other article. Mark Group. Where are they getting this money from? And the citizens don't want you spending money on that. So soon it's going to be sedition of men. Now it seems that these supplies will be paid for by Europe. Some will be paid for, some will not. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told reporters when asked about Trump's words. The fact remains that the supply of weapons, ammunition, and military equipment from the United States continues to Ukraine. Trump is expected to announce a new plan to arm Ukraine with offensive weapons and a sharp departure from his earlier stance. Axios reported on Sunday, citing two sources familiar with the matter. The Russian weapons are superior to the American weapons and NATO's weapons. That's what y'all been finding out through this war. It's been going on since 2022, right? So that ain't gonna help. Some message I just thought about. Oh, yeah. So since America been doing this, so America seems to be the only one in NATO, the only ones that can supply weapons to their allies. But when another country do it, it's a problem. So Russia, like Putin said last year, he's gonna start mirroring what the Americans do. He's supplying all American enemies with weapons. Now let's see if they're gonna say something else about this Russian oil, because he's saying he gonna put a sanction on every country that buy oil from Russia. That shit is not gonna work. That ain't in the nigga war group. I keep going back to that. There's another article I had. Let me see something. These murders going around and yeah. Nah. I wonder why he don't say this about Netanyahu now. And oh yeah, they government on the verge of dismantling too. The Knesset. All things going bad for these boys. Israeli strike on U.S. non-profit clinic kills at least 15 in Gaza. This was 4 days ago, July 11th. At least 15 Palestinians were killed, including 10 children and 2 women, in an Israeli airstrike as they waited in line outside the clinic of a U.S. health non-profit in central Gaza. Now, why isn't he saying that Netanyahu is the same as Putin? He got way more numbers up under his belt of innocent people, right? The attack on Thursday came as families gathered awaiting the opening of the facility in Deir al-Balah. How they just setting these people up? They're already picking them off at the distribution centers to access treatment for malnutrition, infections, chronic illnesses, and other conditions. I can't even read no more of this. Let me just go and get this. Let's get this for these boys. Goddamn Edomites. We're staying in KJV. Let's go back to the Old Testament. We're going to go to Jeremiah. No, shoot. Let's go on over. 49. Prophecy against Edom. That's the modern day white man if you have not been informed by now. Only ones going around destroying the earth. Concerning Edom, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, is wisdom no more in Teman, is counsel perished from the prudent, is their wisdom vanished? Yes, it's vanished. Because every playbook they come up with, the Russians ready for it. The Moab, the Chinese ready for it. This is what you got coming up, America. Because you Babylon the Great. Isaiah 47:1. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. If you haven't noticed, this economy is going down. The people have become lovers of themselves, just as the scriptures read. Right? Ain't nobody concerned with the common folks, right? The elite have a plan to initiate the new world order. They starting all this chaos, commotions. You got weather, all type of flooding going on in America. You got fires, earthquakes. This is what all this gonna be about, right? Controversy of Zion. I'm gonna read this. This ain't related to the articles, but I'm gonna read it. Isaiah 47:6. I was wroth with my people. I polluted mine inheritance and given them into thine hand. Thou didst show them no mercy. Nope. Shoot, I just read the ICE article, right? We in Jacob's trouble. Upon the ancient hast thou very heavily laid thy yoke. And thou saidest, I shall be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to our heart. That's the point. Neither didst remember the latter end of it. The latter end of it is the end of a kingdom. Now again, I always been saying this. What do the common people go through when the kingdom falls? We the common people, if y'all don't understand that. If you ain't got enough money to get up out of here, you common. You ain't a part of the elite's plans, especially if you were Jake. Ain't no Israelites in their plans. So that's us. Don't worry about it though. Our power gonna help us. Let's drop down to 10. For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness. Thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge it hath perverted thee. And thou hast said in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. Y'all, these little secret spy networks y'all got going on, this shit finna fail. The Mossad, that last little thing about the Fantasy Island owner, that's starting to stir up trouble. Because guess who involved in that? The president. You see how they are not in trouble as other men. You bring out all kind of facts. You can have this shit on footage, and they still get around it. But not no more. Stand now, jump down to 12. Stand now with thine enchantments, and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so be, thou shalt be able to profit. If so be, thou mayest prevail. It ain't. They bought up all the little news networks, the media outlets back in the day. Now people got smartphones. They seeing the atrocities that's going on from Ukraine with conscription, to them losing that war, to the Israelis, to the flat out genocide they committing. Right? You can't paint the narrative like you want to paint it no more. And now you got DJ puffing up at his enemies, steady putting sanctions on people, which is going to lead to what? World War III. Thou art wearied in thy multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. They ain't gonna be able to save them though. We've been telling y'all, the book of Obadiah is in effect. You can read this whole book, but let me get to my favorite verse. 15. Obadiah 1 and 15. For the day of Yahweh is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own hand. Right? Just like you read in Isaiah 14, prepare a slaughter for his children. Let me get this. A short time. That's in Revelation, but I can't remember what chapter. We're supposed to be a circumspect, head on the swivel, watching what these devils doing. Short time. They keep coming up with stuff. Let's see if these sanctions gonna work. Revelation 12 and 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. And who was the devil? The modern day so-called white man. Yeah, just everything they do, man, is see-through. They being exposed left and right. Their tongues will fall upon themselves, right? We're going to see what Netanyahu finna do, because they got some governmental issues, right? You got Macron over in France. He in trouble with his little significant other. I'm going to say it like that. Boy, these boys something else. Guess what it is right here? Our Lord is working by little and little. This kingdom of these Edomites is going down. Sedition among men finna start ramping up. And they realizing that they bringing out stuff that's saying that these the government's been manipulating this weather too. We're gonna see what the outcome of that be. But it's all because of who? The Lord. This is for the controversy of Zion. So guess what it is right here? We one day closer to the kingdom. These things must be. Shalom.